Mm-mm. Can you tell us easy way to draw hands, fingers especially? What I usually do when I draw hands is I simplify and I combine. So here's something that I can do, right? Um, what I'd love to do is combine the thumb and the index finger. So what I usually do is this one and that. This is a basic pose. I just combine the two, and there you go. That's a pose. When you draw hands, you don't necessarily need to make it complicated. All you need to do is to get the idea across on what the gesture is on the hand, and that's enough. The problem with hands is the more you add details to it, odds are you're going to ruin it and it's going to be ugly. How many of you guys here actually experienced drawing hands and it became ugly because you worked on it too much? Odds are most of you guys here, right? So the best thing you could do is to simplify it. So when you draw hands, um, try to simplify it to its base form. And for example, if I want to make knuckles going towards the camera like that, I just make a circle first and then make the knuckles. One, two, three, four. And that's it. Then all you need to do is separate it. Boom, bada boom, Bob's your uncle. Add the thumb. There you go. That's the hand. So when you draw the hand, it's advisable to actually make it simpler because the simpler the better, actually. You can actually do so much if you just combine the fingers as well. My favorite thing to do is here is combine the fingers like that. There you go. That's the hand. That's a guy saluting or whatever. And then if you want to add some digits, all you need to do after you do this shape is do this. Boom, 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 boom. Then combine it. Isn't that easy? It's so simple to create the hand once you start off with a simple shape. It gets very difficult once you create, excuse me, create a hand and you just add digits here and there because that's supposed to be there. You add knuckles where they're not supposed to be. And it just becomes very, very complicated. So, if my advice to you is create the hand pose first, that's very, very important. So, create the hand pose first, like this, boom, like somebody leaning on something. Don't forget the most important thing is create a connection between the forearm and the hand. So my advice is to create a circle and then create the fingers, digits. Once you do that, simplify and then add the digits. Pose first, then the fingers, not the other way around. All right. So when you create hands, for example, if you want to create some graceful hand action like that, on the floor, create the biggest form you can, get the idea across first and foremost, and then that's when you need to complicate it by adding details to it. All right. There are a lot of books out there that actually explain hands very, very well. Uh, Bern Hogarth, I can suggest. He's a very not a lot of people actually like Bern Hogarth books because it's very what's the term I'm looking for? It tends to oversimplify or overcomplicate the book, the anatomy. Okay, so let me show you Bern Hogarth. So he's a really really good artist, and he has a book called Drawing Dynamic Hands, which actually this is a good way to study hands, but I don't recommend drawing hands like this. Just to give you an idea of how the hands work, where the knuckles fall, how the where the veins should be, maybe to a certain extent how to render the hands. So if you need some hand lessons, Bern Hogarth is a good book. Also, there are some good reference material out there, like on Pinterest. Just go to Pinterest, type in hand, and there's a bunch to actually study off of. The most important thing before simplifying, before all of that, is to learn anatomy the right way, and that means learning where the digits are, uh, where the where the veins are, and all that. So Yeah, if you don't have money to buy a Bern Hogarth book, I suggest just going to Pinterest. There's so many references you could actually look at, study from, which is very very helpful. So yeah, highly suggest going to Pinterest. I suggest Bern Hogarth, and the most important thing is to keep making mistakes because that's how you learn. Okay. Um, one of the reasons why hands are very very difficult to draw is because it actually has a lot of things that make it difficult. First off, there's anatomy, then there's perspective, and then there's rendering. Those three are one of the hardest things to improve on as an artist. And if you don't study up on it, it's going to make your life miserable. So if you've got some time to improve as an artist, watch some cartoons, doodle hundreds of hands, you know, because the more you learn, the more you study, the more you get better at it. And just like what Kim Jung Gi said, hone that shit. Well, he didn't actually just say that. I'm actually just using this as a wallpaper. I miss you, Kim. Rest in peace. Let's see some Kim Jung Gi's on the chat. Let's go. Let's do this for Daddy Kim. George Bridgman is pretty good too. He has Book of 100 Hands. Does he? George Bridgman. Thank you, Das. Yeah. For some reason, George Bridgman reminds me of Da Vinci. I'm pretty sure he probably has influences from Da Vinci because these are Da Vinci's legs. Da Vinci or Michelangelo's legs. I don't know, but there is a particular look to Renaissance legs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. His stuff is from 1920s, 1930s. Yeah. Can I just say, in this generation of artists, there are a bunch of masters walking around in the world. Do you know, back in the day, whenever we see an artist who is very, very good at something like Da Vinci, everybody just looks at what he does and goes, wow. Nowadays, you go to social media, Twitter, Instagram, and these artists just post masterclass, like, amazing art out there that's just mind blowing. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, whenever I see stuff like this is on another level. This is up there with the masters because this actually focuses on a lot of things: subsurface scattering, form, shadow. And in order for a human being to understand that, they need to have an extensive knowledge of the human form and the human anatomy. And it's very, very impressive. But I digress. Go back, search for hands on Pinterest, do a master study. I highly recommend doing a master study. And once you're there, that's when the most complex stuff hits you. You know, like how the colors work when you're drawing hands, blood, how blood looks like beneath the skin, complicated stuff like that. Learning is difficult, but it's incredibly fun and rewarding. Keep at it, keep working on it, and eventually you'll be one of the masters. And who knows? Maybe you'll be one of the people who we actually study off of. You know what I mean? Become become somebody who's inspiring, somebody who people look up to. Because good lord, we need more of that.